Welcome to the Carnon Classic 2-day, 3-stage race. Yesterday was a 1 hour, 60-minute circuit race around the Wheal Jane circuit, organised by Penzance wheelers and Wheal Velocity Cycling Club. I've never raced there before, the circuit's existed for a few years and it was amazing. This is what happened yesterday.
The circuit race lasted for 60 minutes and it was a brilliant circuit with a nice mixture of fast, technical, sweeping corners, a little short, sharp climb, and then a drag towards the finish line. The racing was brilliant. It was really hard from the first lap, trying to set a really consistent pace. I was surprised how hard it was to actually get away, and then it was even harder to try and maintain that gap. I think the wind on the day probably neutralised the uphill section a little bit, meaning you could do as many watts as you liked on the front, but you could still sit in the wheel, which meant as soon as there was a lull in the effort on the front, it was really easy for riders to come back. We kept trying, little groups kept going away. At some point I got myself so far into the red I did need to ease off and sit up a little bit. Nick, Ollie and myself were away with a lap to go. We somehow got caught on the final lap and then it was a brilliant sprint from Felix Wetter. Special mention to Nick Mackin and Ollie Wade for their brilliant efforts in the crit race. It looks like I may have started my sprint a little bit early into the headwind. I wouldn't say I was feeling good, but I would say I was feeling confident. It was a brilliant sprint from Felix to squeeze by in those final metres. But because Felix wasn't racing the 2-day stage race, it does mean that I went into day 2 with 10 seconds bonus on the line and a lead over Ollie and Nick. Hopefully you can see the subtle changes that I made to my bike for the event. So I removed my bottle cage for the hill climb and the time trial. I also put on some slightly wider tyres, mainly for the crit circuit. Put the shallower rims back in, which also helps with the handling and any gusty winds which you'll catch between the buildings around the crit circuit. Up at the front we have a Magic Shine front light. There's also a Magic Shine rear light at the back. That's because for cycling time trial events you need front and rear lights. And then I ran the complete standard gearing. I did treat myself to a brand new chain recently, which always helps make things feel faster.
And then today we started off with a hill climb early this afternoon. 1 o'clock that started. It was a 1.3 kilometre hill climb roughly. This is how the hill climb went.
I do like a good hill climb, but this one was particularly challenging. You had a very short run up to the climb, then you had a steep ramp, a slight mellowing, another ramp, over a railway bridge, another mellowing, then you had a final ramp before a slow taper out of the climb towards the finish.
Okay, go and ride.
What time was it, do you know? I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay. Tell me about your race.
I paced out awfully. I kind of ran out of steam by the bridge, and on the kind of false flat bit I didn't put enough power down, so I don't think I was very quick. But I'm pretty sure I was quicker yesterday when Chris and I did a kind of like gentle lap up it.
Oh.
No, it was good fun. It was good fun. I'm looking forward to the GT.
Shall I talk you through my strategy? Start in the big ring second gear, try and keep power below 700 watts until the bridge. Cling on for a little bit and then go as hard to the finish as possible.
How did it go?
I don't know. No idea whatsoever. All I know is that you just get this real like buzz, as in you like a numb sensation where you can't. Your teeth hurt, teeth go numb, your tongue goes numb. Severe oxygen deprivation, I should imagine, and just it's horrendous. You try and tell yourself that you've done maximum effort. I don't know, a minimum of 1 a week for 25 years. It's quite a lot of maximum efforts. In reality, probably 3 or 4 times that many. But just nothing stops you getting nervous about it. I mean, nothing stops me getting nervous about it. At the start, I shake. Find out how well we did, and then get ready for the time trial. And then now, the kids' races have finished, the kids' events have finished, the school games, the bikeability event. It's now the lull before the final storm, which is a 13.8 kilometre time trial around one of my favourite training loops actually. Although we are doing it in reverse. I did this 2 years ago, it's really hard. It's going to be windy, a little bit technical, and the pacing is going to be crucial. Let's find out how that goes. And then the last thing I need to do before warming up is make some very quick, rudimentary aerodynamic adaptations to my bike. As I'm sure you know, I'm not actually a fan of this whatsoever, but it's not a bunch race. I'm not going to be riding stood up on the hoods. They're purely a little place to aerodynamically rest my hands for this. It's all about time trial. I can still reach the brakes for the descent. So having the forearms there and the levers in a little bit, it just makes it that little bit narrower, and you can't argue that that is faster. So there we go.
It was then down to the 14-kilometre main event, the Carnon Classic time trial, an event that was first held in 2021, which I managed to win, partly because of local knowledge. and that local knowledge was going to be really important today as well. Going hard, but not too hard on every single gradient, easing up just enough when it was going downhill, and then saving a little bit for that final climb. This is a brilliant circuit, and I use it a lot in training. I usually use it in the other direction just because the gradients are slightly mellower. But it's a brilliant circuit, it's a rough road surface, it's pretty technical. You have to move around on the road quite a lot to avoid potholes, take good lines in the corners. You need to be aware of traffic as well, because whilst the village centre is closed, you are out on the open road. This is a brilliant time trial, and especially on a road bike, I think it's a really good, technically challenging time trial with a lot of elevation change and a brilliant descent.
Well done, Michael.
A really careful pacing strategy was going to win the event, and I really wasn't that confident. I had no idea what to expect. What I can say is I'm very happy with how it went.
Ladies and gents, looking strong for the finish. We have rider number 6. Standing right, Chris Opie.
I don't know quite what the words are for that. It's exactly as you'd expect. It's a maximum effort, but it's several times because all the hills and then you have that nice freewheel descent. Looking forward to seeing some times and seeing what the results were, but it went as well as it could have gone. So
that was a lot of fun. I had an absolute shocker of the day. Power numbers down. I just feel a bit fatigued, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. I can't believe some of the times that people did. It was. I don't know what to say. Am I ready for the Pan Celtic? That's a difficult question to answer. No, but I don't think I'm ever ready for that. It's entirely different to anything else you can do. So,
When do you start?
4 weeks, is it? 5 weeks? 2nd of July. So the whole, in total, I think it's 2,300 kilometres. And yeah, that's my big aim for the year.
you enjoy that? Hang on.
What an amazing event. An absolutely massive thank you to everyone that made this possible. A huge thank you to Wheal Velocity and Penzance Wheelers for everyone giving up their time. This really should be the blueprint of what local cycling events look like. It's such a massive inspiration to children.
We're going to be in doubt. Some bloke, I don't know, someone called Chris Opie, I think. Well done, Chris. Absolutely awesome to see Chris racing over the 3 stages, ladies and gents. Couldn't be more proud.
If someone had said that an event like this would happen within a few miles of where I live when I started cycling in 1997, it would have been so far beyond belief that it almost would have been laughable. An absolutely incredible event. Thank you to everyone.